The crowding out philosophy is really about filling your mind with things that you know is going to help you feel good. What feels good, like the animals, like you just mentioned, like watching little baby kittens and baby puppies, right?
Thank you for listening to this episode of Changes Big and Small. I'm Damian President, your host as we explore small steps that help you make big changes to build a life that you want. Today's guest is Michelle E. Dickinson. Michelle is flipping the script on stress management. As a TED speaker and best-selling author, she's taught over 15,000 people across education, Fortune 500s, and healthcare how to actually deal with burnout, not just talk about it. Michelle doesn't do typical coaching. She teaches practical skills that work right away, like getting a user manual for your brain. Her clients see results fast, 30% less stress within 3 sessions, and 50 to 70% reduction in just 6 to 7 sessions. She gives people real tools they can use immediately and work at home anywhere. Her clients don't just cope better with stress, they completely change how they handle life's challenges. What makes her different? She flips fluffy self-talk and gets straight to what works. Welcome to Changes Big and Small, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Michelle. What do you mean when you talk about being a resilience visionary? What does that mean to you?
A resilience visionary, I believe, is someone who believes that resilience as a lifestyle is a possibility and leads people to that possibility.
So tell me a little bit more about that. When we think about resilience, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think a lot of people relate to resilience as the thing that they will only gain through extreme challenge and clawing their way back from a dark place. We view resilience more of a lifestyle approach in that every single day, what we do and how we think can help us foster resilience. So we're able to ebb and flow with the adversity that life throws at us.
That resonates with me. I actually think that people can do different habits and have rituals every day to develop their resilience. So it's great to hear you talk from that perspective. And so you're a resilience visionary and burnout interventionist. How are the two things related, resilience and burnout?
Yeah, if we are every day building our resilience and taking good care of ourselves, we are able to circumvent hitting that burnout, that dark place. So when I say I'm a burnout interventionist, what I'm doing is helping people return to themselves before they hit burnout. A lot of people come to me on the brink of burnout or thinking they are headed in that direction. And when I intervene with them, we're simply taking a hard look at what they're doing and how they're thinking.
How can somebody know that they should be talking to you? What are the signs before they're in deep trouble with burnout?
A lot of folks come to me when they're starting to just feel like they don't have control. They're literally just at the effects of their life. They feel like they're on a hamster wheel. They can't catch their breath. There's a lot of requests placed on them from their personal and their professional lives. Most of them are like, if I just keep going at this rate, it's inevitable that I will burn out.
I hear people use the term burnout a lot, actually. And is
Yeah.
there a specific definition that you use when you think about burnout, when you talk about burnout?
Yeah, when I reflect back even on my own burnout, the moments when I was in my corporate job was really the loss of joy. I think when we start to not do and look forward to the things, the fundamental things that bring us joy, that's when we know that we're tapped out. Because at least if you have things that you love and things that you can indulge in to temporarily step away from responsibility, that can recharge us. But if there's no desire for that, then there's probably a bigger exhaustion, a mental exhaustion, a physical exhaustion that has to really be looked at.
I've been thinking about this because it comes up a lot in conversations with people. I'm feeling burnt out, or I'm very busy, or I'm exhausted all the time. Those are some of the words or the phrases that come up. And one of the things that we talk about, or that I've talked about with them, is about technology and what is the role of technology in all of this. What's your experience with that? How does technology play into this factor of burnout and those different elements?
It's one of those things, it's a necessary evil. It's an amazing convenience. We have so much at our fingertips that helps us be efficient, effective, feel very connected yet disconnected. A lot of people say that's the truth. I think the problem becomes when we are so addicted to the dopamine hits that we're getting from the technology that we don't realize we need to step away and limit that. But the problem is we feel this desire to be connected for that dopamine hit. And so my invitation is always, how else could you get a dopamine hit? It doesn't have to be through the connection on your phone, the likes, the comments, and things of that nature. There are other ways to get a dopamine hit. It could just be as simple as keeping your word to your healthy habits, having those small wins where you feel a sense of accomplishment. There's a dopamine hit that can come from that. But the problem is, it's very easy to just pick up our phone and get a dopamine hit. And then we're addicted. And then we have no boundaries and no distance between the technology and the connection with ourselves. So I always say, when there's something separating you from yourself, you have to take a step back and look at what's separating you from yourself, because that's really where the greatest answers come from, is in the calmness and solitude of just being with ourselves, free of distraction and external noise.
There's being with yourself, and then there's also being with yourself in context with relationships with other people. How do you see
Sure.
that play out?
Yeah, I don't see it as either or. I see it as both. Some of the work that I share with my clients is the power of just being able to be present with yourself. We cannot be present with the people we love if we don't know how to be present with just ourselves, minus all the distractions and the noise from the external world. In meditation, for example, you connect to yourself, you connect to what you need, you start to understand who you are, right? That sets us up to be able to be better connected with the ones that we love. As human beings, we're creatures of connection. We need connection with those people around us. So I always say that it's very important to maintain those connections if they're healthy, of course, if they're not toxic. That's the caveat. But yeah, we need it all. We need self connection and we need connection to the people that we love and who love us.
When we think about the role of technology, are there
Mhm.
specific habits or specific uses that are more damaging, and are there ones that actually help enhance well-being?
Yeah, for sure. Having those limitations on the amount of hours you're spending on social media, making sure that you give yourself time before sleep to step away from technology. That's one of the biggest things. I have so many clients that like scroll on their phone until the moment that they want to fall asleep. And we know how important sleep is for feeling our best, right? When people say they're tired, a lot of times it's because they've neglected the fundamentals of what they need, and sleep is one of them. So technology can interfere with that. So it's creating some healthy habits that create distance between the technology. I have people who refuse to allow their phone in their bedroom. They leave it out of the bedroom and charging at night away from them. Get an old fashioned alarm clock, just take that pause. I'm a big fan of social media detoxes, taking a week away from social media. That subliminal comparison, the constant noise of other people's lives showing up that you look at, constantly evaluating your own life, that happens whether or not you are conscious of it. So we have to create those boundaries. Detoxes are good. Turning off your phone at certain points before rest, getting enough rest.
Yeah. And I don't think technology is going anywhere. Definitely, there is room to figure out some more balance. I'm not a big fan of the word balance, but for me, it's more about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Where
Right.
can you be intentional
Right.
with the things that you're doing?
Where's your healthy boundaries, right? That's up to you. And I think that you could measure, you could say to yourself, how do I feel when I go into the technology? And then how do I feel after? Sometimes it's necessary for our work, but you can start to evaluate. This is the magic of self awareness. You can start to evaluate, like, I was on Instagram for 45 minutes, I'm getting off and I feel like crap. What was the point of that 45 minutes? It's the self awareness that's going to help you create more of those healthy boundaries.
Yeah, I would like to go a little bit more into the kinds of things people do on technology as well, because I think there are big differences in the kinds of things that we can do and the experience we have of them and the effect they have on us as well.
Yeah,
And for example, we've talked a bit about social media, and definitely we know if you're caught in this comparison trap, that is often unhealthy for your
right.
mental health. And there are other people who use social media in quite creative ways, and they find that to be helpful to themselves. Or even like some of the research shows that watching videos of animals and that kind of thing is part
Yeah,
of building resilience.
yes.
So, what are some healthier habits people can develop with their technology rather
Yeah,
than like just banishing it away? There are
yeah.
ways we could use it in a
Of
more healthy
course.
way too.
Yeah, so you definitely want to step away from doom scrolling. It's hard though with apps like TikTok and Instagram and Reels. You could go down a rabbit hole. But what I like to recommend for folks to consider is the crowding out process. So often our minds want to think about our problems and dwell on our problems. So the one thing I'm always saying to folks is it's not wrong that our mind does that. It's part of the fight or flight. Like it's going to do that. It's going to want to look for problems. But then I say create a pattern interrupt, and using technology to help you do that is a great way. So the crowding out philosophy is really about filling your mind with things that you know is going to help you feel good. What feels good? Like the animals, like you just mentioned, like watching little baby kittens and baby puppies, right? That feels good to watch that. I am a fan of short videos or audiobooks or podcasts that are uplifting, that are going to give you positive reminders, things that maybe isn't front of mind that you could benefit from having front of mind. Oh my goodness, like I really should be thinking more about the creative dreams I have, or something that's going to inspire you and literally fill your mind with good feeling thoughts or curious thoughts that have you focusing forward and not staring at the wall of disappointment or frustration or dwelling on financial concerns, dwelling on unhappy relationships. You want to get yourself into feeling as good as possible. And technology is a great way to do that through YouTube. There's a lot of great videos, uplifting videos by folks. And it's also who you follow on social, right? You can set the algorithm that you started looking up things like Dr. Wayne Dyer or Michael Bernard Beckwith, then that stuff's going to start showing up in your feed and giving you positive messaging.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Michelle, if somebody is listening and they're like, where do I start? I have so many of these habits with my phone that
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start making a change. What's an invitation that you could have for them that could help?
Yeah, create a little bit of distance from technology. Give yourself a break to just be with yourself. Whether it's like in the evening, you want to give yourself an hour of technology free time because you want to do the thing that you love to do. Create a little bit of technology free time. And you can start with 30 minutes, you can go to an hour. You can make it a rule that your phone's not in bed with you. Start small and then recognize how you feel. That's the barometer. I can make recommendations all day long, but only you are going to notice if there's a change in how you feel. And that's going to help you determine if that's what you want to do. You want to do more of that.
Let's pause for a moment and reflect. How does technology show up in your life? Do you feel energized or drained after spending time on your devices? Take a mental inventory. What apps or habits bring you joy and connection? And which ones leave you feeling overwhelmed or stuck in comparison? This is an important step because awareness is the first part of change. You don't have to know all the answers right now. The goal is to notice and realize which activities are bringing you joy and which activities on your technology are contributing to you feeling more tired or taking away your energy. I'm making a slight change here, but tell me what you think about joy. What's your perspective on joy?
I love that. Joy is like the thing that I think a lot of people feel is so far out of reach, but through simple things, you can reclaim the joy. I mentioned before the crowding out process. If the mind is wired to protect you, it's not wired to make you happy. So being joyful isn't automatically going to happen. I always think about, okay, what would bring me joy would be getting right in front of me the things that are good. Like, what's gratitude? What's appreciation? You can feel joy by simply redirecting your focus to things that you appreciate, things that you are grateful for, like the joy of my puppy waking up in bed with me, focusing on that instead of what he did to irritate me. Whatever you focus on will always expand. So that's the key. If you want to feel good and you want to feel and experience joy, you have full control over what you focus on. So focus on those things that feel good when you think about them.
Yeah. And we talked about the fact that burnout means you can't access joy. What about resilience? How does resilience relate with joy?
Yeah, I think when we learn how to ebb and flow with adversity and stress, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain your experience of joy. I always say how we view adversity and stress, the two things we know are coming no matter what. We can't say hold the stress, hold the challenges. If we know they're coming and we can shift our perspective about them, then we won't feel like the victim. We'll feel like, okay, this is here for me. I'm going to take a curious approach to it and not immediately say, why me? So if you can have a healthy curiosity to all of the events that show up in your life, you will be less distant from the concept of joy.
And I like that word too, curiosity, because to me, that is such an open concept when you're being curious. It's let's see what happens. And that's
Yeah.
a very fun way to explore. Is there anything that you find people get surprised about when you talk about resilience?
I think the average person thinks that life has to beat them down in order for them to realize their resilience. And I just say it's through pushing yourself and doing things that you didn't think you could do that you get to reveal your own resilience. Like we all have resilience and we have the access to challenge ourselves to realize our own strength and resilience. So, like, I use the example of exercise, right? Some people might be like, I can't do that. But if you challenged yourself to do that, you would realize your true capacity. And in that, you'll see, wow, I'm resilient. Like, I just did that. And look at me. So, I think it's not about waiting for something to come along and have you say, I'm resilient. It's challenging yourself to show up for yourself. And in the process, you are revealing your own inner resilience.
Yeah, I really like that. I have a previous episode that I'll also add in the show notes for folks because I think there are different types of resilience too, like physical resilience or emotional resilience. And the things that we do every day, if I exercise every day, I am building my physical resilience. If I fall, maybe I can catch myself if I have certain skills that I've built over time. I'm a big fan of the growth mindset too, and I really want to invite listeners to think about the things that they can do every day to build resilience. And like you said, not just wait until they find themselves in a difficult situation.
I've coached over 5,000 hours of folks in the resilient space. The one thing I've learned that has shown up the most, but yet we are able to shift, that I've seen the greatest impact when they shifted it, was simply how they start their day. So many people aren't getting good sleep. They're starting their day off very high cortisol, stressful experience instead of creating a small amount of time just for them to be intentional and create the cadence for how the day is going to go. So many people hit snooze, they catapult out of bed, they're at the effects of life, then they're automatically in the stress zone. I say, get up 10 minutes earlier, sit down, have a cup of coffee or tea, set some intentions for yourself, maybe say a prayer, just do something for you that fills your cup, and you are setting the tone for how your day is going to unfold.
I'm a big fan of that. I know this is going to divide the audience, but I do not snooze. I have an alarm, but my alarm means get out of bed now. My intention is to already be awake.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm awake and alert enough that I'm reflecting, I'm just being quiet. And then when my alarm goes off, it's okay. It's time to get out of bed and
Yeah.
start the day. And sometimes that get out of bed doesn't necessarily mean put my feet on the ground. It means like I'm awake now, like I'm
Yeah.
mentally
Yeah.
awake, whatever it is that I'm going
Yeah.
to. And I
Yeah.
think it's a very interesting thing to test. Like for listeners, what if you did not hit snooze 5 times?
Right.
What if you hit snooze just one less time than usual?
Yeah.
How could you experience some time for yourself in the morning?
But I think that goes back to, did you get enough sleep so that you're not exhausted when that alarm goes off? So many people tell me, "Oh, Michelle, I'm good on 5 hours of sleep." And I just challenge them and I'm like, you don't know what you don't know. Try giving yourself 8 hours of sleep and notice how different you feel. So it really does go back to the discipline with getting enough rest so you have the ability to pop out of bed when the alarm goes off. No hesitation because you feel good.
Yeah, and I think there's also sometimes when it's a habitual thing where we've bought into the idea that, oh, snooze allows me to get a bit more sleep. And
Mhm.
I really challenge that too, because I'm like, why
Yeah.
are you getting sleep that matters in those 10 minutes? Let's take a short break from the interview to go through 3 quick tips you can try today to build your digital resilience. The first one is to turn off non-essential notifications. You can do that on your phone first and only allow alerts from people or apps that truly matter to you. This simple step can drastically reduce distractions. 2, set a tech-free zone. You could choose one space in your home where devices are off limits, like maybe it's the dining room or your bedroom. This creates boundaries that protect your joy and presence in real-life moments. And the third one is to schedule screen-free breaks. For example, you could block out 15 minutes every few hours where you step away from screens entirely. This could mean going for a walk, stretching, or just breathing. Personally, I like to take a Zumba break, or sometimes I just walk up and down the stairs. This is a quick wrap-up of many of the ideas that Michelle shared as well. Michelle, I want to end with a lightning round. It's just 3 questions.
Perfect.
I asked you a bit about joy and how you define joy. I want to know, how does joy feel to you?
Ooh, how does joy feel? Contentment, peace, calmness, all of that.
What is something bringing you joy right now?
My business, the possibilities we're creating to reach more people, that gets me so excited. Spending time with people I love. Yeah, those things.
And do you have a book recommendation for listeners? It can be anything at all. Doesn't have
My
to be
book,
related to our topic, but
my own book. So if you grew up with or you were affected by a loved one with a mental illness, my memoir, I have to suggest, it's called Breaking Into My Life, and it's all about what my experience was growing up with my mother who is bipolar and the silver lining that is always within the adversity that now serves me as an adult.
and you have a TED Talk on that topic as well, right? Which
I
I'll also
do.
add to the show notes.
I do. Thank you.
Michelle, where can people find you and how can they support you or get involved with your work?
Oh, amazing. Yeah. My second home is on LinkedIn. So Michelle E. Dickinson. And then our website, resilienceasalifestyle.com.
Excellent. And all of those links will be in the show notes. So thank you very much, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Remember, technology itself is neutral. It's how we use it that affects our joy. Being intentional with technology can be transformative. Think about it. This stage of life often comes with many opportunities for growth and rediscovery. But it's easy to get caught up in digital distractions that pulls us away from what really matters. Think about Candy Crush, Words with Friends, even the New York Times games that I'm a big fan of. Imagine starting your mornings phone-free, journaling instead of scrolling, or using apps like The Way or Insight Timer to focus on mindfulness rather than comparison. This means starting your day focused internally and grounding yourself rather than prioritizing something else outside of yourself first. These small shifts can help you reclaim your joy and make space for what truly lights you up. We talked about that in the last episode as well with Karen Light. Next week, we'll explore something that technology can enhance but never replace, And that's the vital role of relationships and community in building a joyful life. Until then, I encourage you to be mindful of your digital engagement. Notice what truly serves your joy and what might be diminishing it. And I'd love to hear what you find out. You can always email me, contact@changesbigandsmall.com.
Change begins with one small step. Have a great week.